Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. I will put that down in the notes so you know how to get a hold of them. They're an international online therapy company. So if you're in the UK, if you're in Italy, if you're in France, if you're anywhere in the world and you're having a hard time getting into a therapist, go on to betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez and they will set you up with a qualified therapist in the United States. So that is way cool. I've been getting really good feedback from people who are using them, and they're affordable, which is awesome. So it's like, it works out to like $65 a session for a package of 4. So that's really good. Also, if you're in the United States and you don't like the therapist that's in your town, or you don't want to see the therapist that's in your town, but you also don't want to drive for hours, you want to do online therapy, go to betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez and they will set you up with a licensed professional in your state, master's level or PhD level. So thank you, betterhelp.com. Alrighty then, let's dive into the questions. All right. What is selective mutism? What is it? Okay, so selective mutism is when somebody has gone mute, so they stop talking, and it's not consistent. It's every once in a while, it's selective, right? So mutism means that they're unable to speak. So that could be part of the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. So when people freeze, they freeze. They can't respond. They're not going to give you an answer verbally. So it's like they stop talking. And it usually happens with a great deal of trauma. So if somebody has got selective mutism, you definitely want to get them into a trauma therapist and make sure that they are okay. It's a trauma response. Basically, it is a trauma response. Okay, there is that. I want to warn the new girlfriend. Why shouldn't I? Whew, so many reasons. So let's talk about that, shall we? So on one level, it would be so nice if we could warn the new supply and say, oh my gosh, danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger, you're in danger. This is what's going to happen. Unfortunately, that's not ever the way it works. They're not going to believe you. They're not, because the abuser at that point is love bombing them. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so smart. You're the greatest thing that's ever happened. You're amazing. You're my soulmate. You're my twin flame. You're this, you're that, whatever. So they're doing all of that. They haven't seen the mask slip yet. You've seen the mask slip. They have not. So if you come up to the new girlfriend and say, look, I need to warn you, this guy or girl is just cray-cray, they're not going to believe you. They have no reason to. That mask has not slipped for their person yet. And I can guarantee you that your ex will have already been telling them how crazy you are. So, excuse me. So by you going and warning the new supply, that's just going to confirm that you're crazy. So you don't want to do that. So remember, abusers thrive on drama triangles. Okay? The villain, the victim, and the hero. And if you do that, you're now the villain. They're the hero. The new person is the victim. And so this falls right into their trap. That's exactly what they want. That really, honest to God, is what they want. So yeah, do not. You are under no obligation to warn the new girlfriend or boyfriend. You're not. Now if further on down the line, they contact you and say, oh my God, this person was completely crazy, I still would be very careful about what you say, because a lot of times this is temporary and they'll go back to the abuser and then they'll tell the abuser everything you said. And then the next thing you know, you're back in the drama triangle. So you want to stay out of the drama triangle. It's like, I'm sorry, this is not my problem. I'm not interested. There's a reason we broke up. And yeah, so glad you're seeing it, but yeah, we're done. So yeah, stay out of it. You don't need to get involved in that. Okay. Why do they smirk when they're abusing? Because they're enjoying what they're doing. So Narcissists don't feel the way healthy, normal people feel. Healthy, normal people don't like hurting somebody. Narcissists, when they're at the further end of the spectrum, they're sadistic. They enjoy it. So when they know that something they've said has landed, they'll get that little smirk on their face, that little, like, good, I hope that hurt, that kind of thing. They're just not nice people, and I use the term people loosely. So yeah, they smirk because they're enjoying it. They like hurting. They enjoy landing the nastiness. They enjoy landing the harm and the hurt and things like that. So that's why they smirk. What do I mean by traits of NPD or traits of borderline? Okay. So when I talk about full-blown abusers, they're usually full-blown. It's like there's no doubt about it. They're harming, they're hurting, they're enjoying it, they're sadistic, they're, the whole thing. Traits of, everything's on a spectrum. And I suspect that when the next DSM comes out, everything is literally going to be on a spectrum, because it kind of really everything is on a spectrum. So down at the lower end, you will have traits of, okay, meaning they don't have the necessary qualities or quantifications to be a full-blown narcissist or a full-blown borderline. So for example, let's pull out the DSM-5, shall we? Okay, let's look up personality disorders. Okay, let's go to borderline 663. Okay, hang on. Oh my goodness, 663. Okay, hang on. Sorry. 6. There we go. Okay. So for borderline personality disorder, there are 9 criteria. But the thing of it is, you only need 5 of them to be full-blown. Where are my glasses? Because I cannot see when I have my contacts in. Oh, I should have taken my contacts out and just worn my glasses. Oh, well. Okay, so, all right. So for borderline personality disorder, 1, frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. 2, a pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating extremes of idealization and devaluation. 3, identity disturbance, markedly and persistently unstable sense of self-image or self. 4, impulsivity in at least 2 areas that are potentially self-damaging: spending, sex, substance abuse, reckless driving, binge eating. 5, recurrent suicidal behaviors, gestures, or threats, or self-mutilating behavior. 6, affective instability due to marked reactivity of mood swings. Intense episodic dysphoria, irritability, or anxiety, usually lasting a few hours and only rarely for more than a few days. 7, chronic feelings of emptiness. 8, inappropriate, intense anger or difficulty controlling anger, frequent displays of anger, constant anger, recurrent physical fights. 9, transient stress-related paranoid ideation or severe dissociative symptoms. Now, in order to be full-blown, you only need 5 of those 9, okay? And with narcissism, let's see, where is narcissism? Okay, narcissism. Has a grandiose sense of self-importance, exaggerated achievements, and talents expected to be recognized as superior without commiserate achievements. 2, is preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or the ideal love. 3, believes that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high-status people or institutions. 4, requires excessive admiration. 5, has a sense of entitlement, unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment or automatic compliance with his or her expectations. 6, is interpersonally exploitive, takes advantage of others to achieve his or her own ends. 7, lacks empathy, is unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. 8, is often envious of others or believes that others are often envious of him or her. 9, shares arrogant, haughty behaviors or attitudes. And again, out of those 9, you only need 5. So when I say traits of, so minor traits of would be they have 1 or 2 of those. Okay, so they're showing some of those traits, but not. When it starts getting down to like the 3 and the 4, those are major traits. They're this close to becoming full blown. So if they have 5 or more, yeah, they're full blown. So traits of means they have 1 or 2. maybe 3. But once you get to 3 and 4, yeah, they're getting closer to that end of the spectrum where they are full blown. So that's what I mean by that. So I hope that clarified that. Oh gosh. I'm trying to leave the relationship. My abuser wants to know what I talk about in my therapy sessions. What do I say to them? Okay, so this is common. So this happens in damn near every client that I have that's leaving a relationship that's abusive, that they're still in contact with the abuser. So when they come to see me, we talk about the abuse, and I make sure they understand the cognitive dissonance. I make sure that they understand the fear, the obligation, and the guilt. And I also make sure to tell them, you are under no obligation to tell them what we talk about. In fact, what you're going to tell them is that we are working on self-esteem, which is true. We are working on self-esteem. They don't need to know that we're working on a safety plan to get out. So, so the abuser wants to know everything because they know that you're sharing with your therapist all the abuse, all of the trauma, everything that they've done. And they know that the therapist is going to tell you to leave. And they're waiting for you to tell them that the therapist said, I need to get out. Because at that point, they're going to scream, your therapist is incompetent and dangerous and you need to stop seeing them and blah, blah, blah. If I had a nickel for every single time I've heard that, dear Lord, I'd own a Victorian somewhere warm and sunny and have a bed and breakfast. Anyway, the point being is that that's what they do. That's absolutely what they do. They want to know what's going on because they know that you're discussing probably leaving, and they need to be in control, and they want to control your therapy session. And when they realize they can't, that's when they start telling you to stop therapy, or they don't like your therapist, or they want to come in and see the therapist. Oh my gosh. That's happened too, where they're like, well, I want to see your therapist and I want to do couples counseling. No, I'm sorry. I know there's abuse. Nope, not taking you on. Sorry. And I do not recommend you do couples counseling if there is abuse in the relationship, because what they will do is they will take everything that is said in the couples counseling session and use it against you. They will harm you with what you've said. They'll twist it. And they'll do the gaslighting, and they'll do the lying and the cheating and the rewriting of history. And you're going to be sitting there with your brain fizzing like it's on Pepto-Bismol, not Pepto-Bismol. What's the one that fizzes? Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. Oh, I can't even think of the name of it. Anyway, it'll be fizzing like that. It'll be like, And what ends up happening is if the abuser does not get the information they want, they will start trying to poke at you so that you'll blurt stuff out. That's the other thing they do, is they want you to blurt things out. You've got to stop oversharing with the abuser. If you're planning on leaving, you cannot tell them you're leaving. And what ends up happening, oh Lord, is that people tell them they're leaving in the hope, this misguided hope that that's going to be enough of a wake-up call that they're going to suddenly get it and start behaving. No. Now what they're going to do is make sure you have no money. Make sure you don't get any sleep. Make sure you're not seeing your therapist. Make sure you're not working on yourself, because they don't want you to leave. You're the favorite punching bag. And by just telling them, well, I'm going to leave you. Well, great. Now they know. And now they're going to make sure that you can't. Watch it. That's exactly what will happen. Every single time that has happened, I will have the target of abuse then come back in after not seeing them for months because they told their abuser they were leaving, and now they're having to sneak around to come back into therapy. Well, I told the abuser, and then they made sure I didn't have any money, and I'm like, oh my God, I told you this would happen. Please stop oversharing. Please, please, please stop oversharing with these people. They are not going to change. Leopard does not change its spot. They don't suddenly get the epiphany or understand that they are the problem. They're not ever going to change. It's never going to get better. They'll tell you it will, but what will end up happening is if you leave, or if you tell them that you're leaving, they'll be good for a little bit, but then the punishment will be way more because now they're angry that you even thought about leaving them. So you've got to be very, very careful about what you tell your abuser. So just tell them that you're working on self-esteem. Because really, that is self-esteem and boundaries. You're working on self-esteem and boundaries, and that's all they need to know. And they will push. They absolutely will push. They absolutely will demand to know specifics, what has been said. Don't give them specifics. Don't. We're not talking about you. We're talking about me in there. They'll hate that because, of course, everything is about them. So, anyway. Okay, so there is that. I hope that answered the question. Okay. My spouse will not get a job, will not clean the house, sits and plays video games all day, and then screams at me at night and keeps me up. What should I do? That's abuse, and you should leave. I'm sorry, but if somebody is not contributing, not helping, not being, positive, not being supportive, and I mean emotionally as well as financially, keeps you up all night, screaming at you, raging, that's abuse. That's abuse. Leave. Get with a good therapist. Figure out what is keeping you stuck there. You don't deserve to be treated like that. They are not going to change. They are not going to change. Let me just be very clear about that. They are not going to change. Healthy, normal partnerships are just that. They're a partnership. Each partner is contributing to the relationship in some way, shape, or form. It's not just take on one person's part, but with an abuser, it is take. So you want to get with a good trauma therapist, and you want to figure out a safe way to exit, because it's not going to get better. If they're raging at you, if they're screaming at you, if they're keeping you up at night, if they're calling you names, how many deal breakers are those? So let's talk about deal breakers. When you are an adult, in any relationship, whether that's a friendship, a romantic relationship, a boss relationship, a coworker relationship, you should have a list of deal breakers, things that you will not put up with. So number one, disrespect. Don't put up with disrespect. What does disrespect look like? Well, that's name calling. Disrespect is name calling. Disrespect is raging at you. Disrespect is not taking no for an answer. Disrespect is refusing to be a contributing party to the relationship. That's all disrespect. That person you just talked about just broke all 5 deal breakers. I tell people to leave if one is broken. So you want to take a look at what your deal breakers are and how many deal breakers is this person breaking, and why are you sticking around? You don't deserve that. So think about getting with a good trauma therapist, think about getting a safety plan together, and think about getting the hell out. All right, there is that. Okay. My ex showed up at my door and claimed he just needed to crash for a couple of days. It's been weeks. What do I do? I'm afraid of him. Oh, Lord. Okay, well, it is way easier to get people, keep people out of your life than it is to get people out of your life. So, especially with the pandemic, there's been what I call the crisis hoover. So, the crisis hoover is, I don't have a job, I don't have anywhere to stay, I desperately need a place to crash, and so they'll come knock on your door and give you the sob story, and you fell for it, and now you can't get them out, and you're afraid of them. Well, okay, so I would seriously talk to some friends and talk to family members and get this person out of your house if you can, legally. And it depends on what the eviction laws are. I don't know if you need to give them 30 days notice. I don't know, because every state is different. Some states are like, oh, well, it's just a house guest. You can tell them to leave. Other states are like, no, it's something more than that. You need to give them 30 days notice, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I would speak to an attorney. So in Arizona, there is something called the Fresh Start Women's Resource Center. They have legal people that you can speak to for a very, very minimal amount of money. It's like $10, $15, which, as opposed to $300, $400. So I would do that and see what your options are. See if you can get some low-cost legal advice, because you're going to need it, because to get this person out, especially if you're afraid of them. So the best answer is don't fall for a hoover, period. So, and especially in this time of pandemic, they're doing the crisis hoover. Oh, I'm alone and I'm afraid, or gosh, I lost my job and I have nowhere to go. Well, that's not your problem. That's not your problem. So definitely you're going to want to get with a good trauma therapist. You're going to want to work on codependency. You're going to want to work on saying no and meaning it. And that is something that survivors of abuse have a really hard time with, is drawing a boundary, saying no, and meaning it, because we're afraid of hurting people, but we're perfectly okay hurting ourselves, but we're not okay hurting other people. Okay. Saying no isn't hurting someone else. They may not like it. They may not enjoy it, but that is not hurting them. They just don't like the fact that you are saying no. So I would get with a really good trauma therapist, and I would work on boundaries and being able to say no and I mean it. I would definitely speak to an attorney, low-cost attorney, and see what your options are for your state, because I don't know where you are. So definitely look into that. Okay. And then maybe get a restraining order if you're afraid of him. Okay. My ex claims he hates me and is so much happier with his new girlfriend. So why is he dragging the divorce out? Oh, God. Okay, so borderlines and narcissists are crazy. Let's just establish that right here. They would rather have a messed up, dysfunctional connection to somebody than no connection at all. So they enjoy inflicting harm. They enjoy inflicting pain. And they need a drama triangle in order to do so with the new supply. So, oh, I'm so much happier with them and you're such a terrible person and blah, 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 blah. Well, once you're gone, they've got nobody. Now it's just them and the new supply. And the new supply will figure it out sooner rather than later that they're not who they presented themselves to be. So that's why they want to keep dragging out the divorce, because it's drama. It's grand theater. It's a chance to smear you, and it's a chance to look good in the eyes of the new supply. So that's why they're dragging it out. So what you want to do is you want to get this done as quickly as possible. Make sure you have an attorney that understands, I'm not dragging this out. I want this done. You know, I want to quash whatever motions this person comes up with. I mean, there was one case that I worked on where the ex would file frivolous motion after motion after motion after motion in an effort to try to drag out the divorce. They hated him. You know, they didn't love them. They didn't like them, but they couldn't stand the idea of not decimating them. I think that's what it was. It was like in that divorce case, they wanted to decimate them. They wanted to show the world that they were right and the other person was wrong and they were going to get everything and they were going to... It was ridiculous. So thank God the attorney just quashed everything. Was like, nope, this is frivolous. Nope, we're not doing this. Nope, they are dragging this out. And I'm like, the world needs more attorneys like that. Some attorneys will just allow it to be drug out because they get more money. But you want to get an ethical attorney that understands high conflict divorces, that's going to put a kibosh on the frivolous motions. And really what it is, it's abuse by proxy. They're using the court system to continue to abuse. So you definitely want to get a good attorney that can do that. Okay, so that's why they're doing that. I'm out of the relationship and started dating more healthy people, but it feels sort of boring. What is wrong with me? Okay, so think of it this way. When we are in abusive relationships, it is constant drama. Constant drama. It's always chaos. There's always chaos. There's always drama. There's never a moment's peace. It's never calm. It's never quiet. It's never comfortable. It's never any of that stuff. So we get used to this insane level of insanity, I think is the best way to put it. And so to us, when we come out of a healthy or an unhealthy relationship, a healthy relationship feels boring in comparison because our adrenaline level has been woo this whole time. So get with a good trauma therapist. It's okay to be calm. It's okay to be quiet. It's okay to be comfortable. It's okay to be content. It is. So when I first started dating John, I freaked out. I think I've talked about this. I freaked out. You know, he kissed me and I was like, I want to date other people, you know, because I wasn't used to somebody who was sane, who was calm, who was quiet. I was used to chaos and drama and hijinks and the whole thing. So when John and I first started dating, it was very scary to me to be with somebody who was calm and quiet and fun and content. And, you know, we talked about this on Sunday about how narcissists always rush us, you know, rush, can't sit still, can't, you know, what's the next new thing? What's the next new thing? And so when we get with somebody who's like, let's enjoy the here and the now, it's like, wait, what? You know, it's like a freaky thing where you're just like, what do you mean enjoy the here and the now? You know, and then we start hearing the voices in our head. We start hearing the internal critic. So that's when we got to start working on what are we telling ourselves? What are we thinking? What are we feeling? What are we telling ourselves? Do the mirror work. Hey, good to see you. Have a great day. You know what? It's okay to stay in the here and the now. It's okay to be calm. It's okay to be content. So that's something to work on. So get with a good trauma therapist and start working on, where did you learn this? Where did this come from? This goes back further than just who you've been dating. I can guarantee you this goes back to family of origin. Because what we tend to do is the inner child looks outside and goes, oh, there's somebody who kind of sort of reminds me of mom and dad. I know if I can make them love me, I prove mom and dad wrong. Half of a doo-doo sandwich, half of a doo-doo sandwich. Total doo-doo sandwich. You don't want that. So, you've got to be very aware of that. And I would definitely get with a good trauma therapist and start working out, on self-esteem, because this is kind of a self-esteem issue as well. You deserve to have a healthy relationship. It's okay. It's okay to have calm. It's okay to have quiet. It's okay to be content. It's okay. It's okay. So this is a self-esteem thing. So do work on self-esteem. I finally left my abuser. He had a new supply within 2 weeks. What the hell? So abusers often have a harem, male and female, and they have somebody waiting in the wings. They do. That's just who they are. So, and especially if they've been accusing you of cheating, I can guarantee you that they've been cheating and they've had this person just ready to step in. So when they get somebody immediately, that's how they operate. They can't wait until they can get somebody new to keep them distracted, because that's really what it's all about. A new supply, a new person to stroke their ego, to tell them how great they are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They do not love, guys. I know. This sucks because we love them. We do. We absolutely love them because we love. They do not. They do not have healthy, normal feelings for anybody. We have no more significance to them than this pen. That's all we mean to them, is something that can be used. Literally, something that can be used. Our feelings are not valid. They oftentimes get angry if we actually cry, or if we express anger, or if we express any emotion. They're not okay with it because they can't feel, and it angers them. It does. And it makes them especially angry if we try to hold them accountable. So they will replace supplies within a week, days even. I've seen it happen as quickly as a few days. So yeah, they either have a group of people waiting in the wings, harem waiting in the wings, or they just go out and get somebody immediately because they can't stand being alone, because they can't prop themselves up because they don't have self-esteem. So self-esteem is just that quiet little voice in your head saying, hey, I love you. Good job. Keep going. Oops, you screwed up. Okay, make amends. Forgive yourself. Move on. They need somebody else to prop them up. And when they don't have anybody to prop them up, that's when you get the collapsed narcissist, and they're the nasty ones you find in the old age homes. So yeah, that's why. So it's them. It is not you. And this is common. This is what they do. This is just what they do. I think I'm going to do one more question and then I got to get going. Okay. Are schoolyard bullies narcissists in the making? Yes. So they can be. So schoolyard bullies generally are being abused at home. They're acting out. They're kids. They're acting out. So because they're being abused, they're acting out their abuse when they come to school. Name calling, hitting, spitting, terrorizing, etc. I can guarantee you that the same thing is happening to that kid. So if you know that there is a bully in your school, zero tolerance. You would call DCS and report it. This kid is a bully. He's bullying other kids. I suspect there's something going on in the home. Just an FYI, I would like you to look into it. So, and teachers should be on that. Some of them are, some of them aren't. So yeah, schoolyard bullies are basically narcissists in the making, or abusers in the making. So generally though, what I find is that especially in the younger kids, if there's a younger kid that's bullying, it's because they are being abused at home and they just don't know what to do with it and they are acting out. So that's why it's vital to get another set of eyes on it, like DCS, Department of Children's Services. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, kids, so that's all the time I've got today for questions this Sunday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And please do share these videos with your friends or anybody you think can benefit from them. I'm going to be talking about codependency and what happens when two codependents get together. So we'll be talking about that. All right, my loves, go have a wonderful week, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye.